right, welcome back once again to the channel. It's a little breezy today, sorry, but it's one of the few days that are in the 60s. So to this week, again, we're doing a distance test and we're going to test out the Onsra direct drive. So once again, for the second time in a row, I have decided not to do the top speed run. So I'll just be straight up and honest with you guys. The top speed run for the belt drive scared the living crud out of me. At 30 miles an hour, I almost came off the board. I don't enjoy it. That's the one thing about the boards that I hate for the reviews, is trying to do the top speed run. So this time for the direct drive, I'm going to leave it up to the subscribers. I know that there are people out there that have this board that have maxed it out. Place that in the comments. Tell me how fast you got the Onsra direct drive to go and what wheels you are on. Hey, if you've done it on the belt drive too, then throw that down there too. Just make sure you say which board it is, direct drive or belt drive. So here we go on our distance test. Let's get to it. Okay, update number one, 2.5 miles into it. I'm still at full bar. This board is whisper quiet. The cloud wheel make more noise than the board does, or any wheel I guess would. The wheels make more noise than the board does. Like that's throttle, that's brakes. You can't hear it. It doesn't make any noise, which is awesome. So if you haven't noticed, between my video I always try to update you guys in the same spot, so then you can compare the different boards on the videos and see what each board was at that exact spot. Now the last two, this one and the Eovan, I didn't do the top speed runs, so they'll be a little bit different, but yeah, keep going, see how far this Onsra direct drive will go. All right, update 2. We are at, according to the remote, 5 miles, and we've lost 1 bar. Now it's just doing 17 miles an hour up quite a bit of a hilly section, so that's what killed that bar. But I do want to say that once this direct drive is moving, it goes up hills pretty darn well. When it's at a complete stop and you try to start off of a hill, no, it doesn't do that well until it gets moving. I mean, the belt drive is going to be the best for the acceleration and uphill riding. This is the best if you want it super quiet or you want to be able to push this board. This board coasts like no other, and I pushed it a couple times just to see how much drag there was, and it's almost like a longboard with worn out bearings. Like there's hardly any drag. So if you want a pushable board or a quiet board, then this is the one for you. But like I said, just over 5.5 miles, or no, now we're at 5.2 and still 1 bar down. Let's keep going. Third update. So I'm up here at the top of the hill. I'm about to start doing my loops. According to the remote, we're at 8.3 miles and I'm down 2 bars. So let's start doing our loops. So just out of curiosity, I hit the throttle, kept it pinned, just see how fast it would go and if it got unstable. I got it up to 26 miles an hour. It probably had a couple mile per hour left in it, but I let off because I was starting downhill. So right around there, 26, 27 miles an hour, what I got the direct drive up to. All right, so that's about 2 laps down. 11 miles according to the remote. The GPS is tracking them exactly the same. So 11 miles, I'm still down 2 bars. So I had the question come up. Somebody asked me, they weigh a little bit more than I do, and they said, hey, I'm not getting the same range that you did out of your Onsra. So I'll say this is what I do for all my distant rides. I weigh 200 pounds. I'm trying to go on the same circuit every time, so it's fair to all the boards. And I'm going, like right now, I'm teetering in between 14 and 16 miles an hour. So I try to keep it right around 15 miles an hour in order to be fair to all the boards across the spectrum. I don't want to push the boards. I am doing a distant test. I am seeing how far the board can go, only in a more realistic riding manner. So 15. I try to keep it right around 15 miles an hour for the entire time that I'm riding. Okay, so we just completed our third lap. I'm at 12.7 miles and we just lost our third bar, so we have 2 left. That means I have roughly about 40% left in the board. Quick update, we're at 15.9 and the remote just yelled at me 25%. I was going up that long gradual hill when it said that, so we'll finish this lap and then we'll head back to the house. Okay, that wraps up the distance test or the range test on the Onsra direct drive with 105 Cloudwheels. Now I know that the GPS says 21.7, but that's because I messed up the settings. So when I went into the settings, I put not to record within X amount of distance from my house. So with doing that, it actually cut some off. When I paused the GPS and finished it, it was at 22.1 miles. The remote said 22.3. So we went just over 22 miles on the Onsra direct drive. Pretty good. So now I want to talk about comparing both of the boards. I really love both of the boards for different reasons. So I will tell you this, that the direct drive, it has way more punch off of the start, and it has a lot more punch up hills than the direct drive does. Now, we could have figured that because there's gear reduction in that board for it to be able to do that. That's why I picked the direct drive the belt drive, the belt drive. That's why I picked that when I initially bought an Onsra. Now I will say, once the direct drive gets going, then it's fine. You have plenty of power. It goes up hills just fine. It has plenty of power once it gets going. It's that initial torque that the direct drive just doesn't have. Also, the belt drive, the brakes are stronger on the belt drive than they are the direct drive, especially when going down really steep hills. The belt drive's going to beat it. Also, the belt drive has a higher top speed, which kind of surprised me. So the belt drive, I don't even know what the top speed is. I think with 105 Cloudwheel, I think I got it up to like 28, 29 miles an hour, something like that, with 45 T-pulleys, I believe. Maybe it was the 40 T-pulleys, but right around there. And today, I know at the beginning of the video, I said I wasn't going to do a top speed run. I ended up doing it while on the ride, and GPS had me at 25. The remote had me teetering in between 26 and 27. So just over 25 miles an hour on the direct drive, and just over 28 miles an hour with 105 Cloudwheels, and I believe 45 T-pulley, but I could have had 40s on it. That doesn't matter to me. I don't really care about top speed. I will say that the direct drive is completely comfortable at cruising 18 to 20 miles an hour. So let's get into something that Onsra changed since I bought my belt drive. Now with the new belt drives and the new direct drives, what has changed? So if you look at the bottom of this board, you can see the gold fittings. See the gold fitting front and rear. This protective coating also has some blue on it. They got completely rid of that with the new boards. So the new boards are all black, everything black on it. The front trucks are a little bit different too. These are a lot more round. So if you look at those are a lot more round than these ones. So yeah, there's some subtle changes. The biggest change that I'm looking forward to is the deck screws. So they went with a lot bigger deck screws now. They fit better. They say that they're not going to have another issue with the deck screws. So I'm looking forward to that. I'll keep you guys posted on that. So the belt drive is pretty loud. That doesn't bother me, and it has more torque. The direct drive is whisper quiet, but these motors are close to the ground, just like any direct drive like this, and I'm already dinging them up. So that's from either rocks in the road or like an angle, and if you take it at a slant or sideways, you're going to scrape the motors. I mean, I have the 105s on it and I'm still scraping them compared to the 97 urethane that came on it. But all in all, I love both of the boards. I think the boards are great for fast, quick carving. They're my favorite board that I own. And I think that this one is actually going to be a lot better for city type rider, people that don't have a whole bunch of hills and they want to stay quiet. A lot of people have said that they really like the idea of the Onsra belt drive, but they hate how much noise it makes. Well, here's your fix. It doesn't have much torque off the line. It's a little bit less top speed. Doesn't have much torque uphill, but it is whisper quiet. I couldn't even hear the motors. Even under braking, I couldn't even hear the motors. In addition to that, if I'm going to run out of battery away from my house and have to push any of the boards back to the house, I'm going to pick the Onsra or the Meepo Mini 2 in order to run out of battery, because with direct drive and hub drive, they just push and glide so well. That sums it up. Let me know if you want to see comparison against the two boards, specifically what you want to see in those comparisons. But I love both of the boards. If I'm going to go to a really hilly area, there are a couple places that I ride that have the really big hills. That's where I've been taking them for the initial ride. Then I'm going to take the belt drive, because it just does so much better up and down hills. But if I'm just cruising and on flat ground or flatter trails, then I'm definitely going to take the direct drive. I really like the direct drive. It is whisper quiet. That does bring me up to one thing. With that belt drive, people know I'm coming. I've scared more people in the past 2 rides on this direct drive than I have all the time that I've been riding on these belt drives. I just scare the heebie-jeebies out of people, and I try not to do that. I slow down. I tell them coming up on your left, but it just scares them when I go by them. I don't know why, but they can't hear it, so they don't know I'm coming. That's another thing. But yeah, all in all, I really like the board. That was a really good distance, 22 miles. Really impressed with that for the Onsra. Can't wait to see what Onsra comes out with next.